hold on. Put this Dragon Ball Z to good use. Up. Up. Okay, now you can see the top of my head. Okay. Hello. I'm Julia. I am an American. I live in Paris, and if you didn't know this, I am trying to cook my way to the French National Culinary Exam called the CAP Cuisine. I've got a big old textbook that apparently culinary students in France use according to the internet. That's what I'm supposed to learn. And every day, not every day, a few times a week, I am cooking one of the technical recipes to try to get better at cooking. The one today, I don't want to do. I have to learn how to do it, but I really don't want to because it's a fish recipe, which means I've got to buy a whole darn fish and empty out its organs and cut it up and cook it. It's called, I'll show you more closely in a second, Rouennaise. I don't know what makes it Rouennaise, but that's what it is. I look like this because I choose to, and also because I'm going to have to scale the fish, which means you've got to scrape it until the scales come off, and let me tell you, those scales go flying. They will be in my hair, on my shirt, on the wall, hopefully not in my mouth, but it has happened. So I'm just wearing my tattiest clothing that I really don't care if it gets covered in fish scales because, hey, you know what? I still need to buy an apron. Don't have one of those yet. One day. Anyway, let's go. I'll tell you guys right now, it's going to be gross. I have to start with the fish butchery. Feel free to skip it. I have to take their skin off, I have to cut their heads off, I have to cut their fins off. So skip right here to this timestamp to skip the butchery. Here's the 3 little souls that are gonna get just messed up. So skip ahead if you want to. First, I have to cut off the fins. This part, pretty manageable. I should have, kitchen shears, but as usual, I don't have the proper kitchen equipment yet. Guys, it takes a while to save up and buy all these things. So I do have office scissors. I do wash them before and after every use, and usually an extra time if it involves, cutting slimy raw fish. But you cut off the top fish, cut off the bottom fish. No, you don't. You cut off the fins. What am I saying? You cut off the fins. And then the next step is to take off the skin. So you make a little incision in the back and then you pull the skin. Quick note, that wooden handled knife over there that I just used, it is called an opinel. It's a brand of knife that's highly respected in France. It was a gift to our household. However, it does unfortunately say Thug Life on it. I don't like using a knife that says Thug Life as a middle-class white person who doesn't run the risk of being called a thug just for walking down the street in a hoodie and therefore being attacked. So I plan on changing out that knife as soon as I can for a more professional knife. And of course, I'll put an article about what I'm talking about down below from someone who actually knows what they're saying. Carrying on, after I pulled off violently the brown or black or gray, whatever it is, skin from this fish, there is the white skin underneath that you leave on, but I have to scrape off the scales. This is the terrible part that I told you about in the beginning. Arguably, all of this part is terrible while I'm butchering this fish, but the scales are going everywhere as you watch. And in case you didn't believe me, here they are. Here it is on my shirt. I don't know why I'm being so aggressive. I'm sure you believed me. Oh, and look, I even got one on my face. And I do believe there was one in my hair later on, although I do not have a video evidence. Now the last step is to decapitate it. As though it hasn't been through enough, what with being skinned and scaled, we then chop up the fish's head and then dig the knife into the insides of the fish to get the last of its blood out, the last of its organs out, and you gotta get all up in there. Oh, I already had to do this once myself, and now I'm having to watch myself do it over again while I'm telling you what to do. And let me tell you, it's not pleasant, but I have good news. It's over.
Okay, so the 3 soles are done. I will show you in a second, but for 2 of them, all I had to do was take the skin off, clean them, and chop off their heads, and that was all. For the 3rd one, I went ahead and filleted it. I don't have video of that because I just wanted to get it done because it's gross, but I needed the skeleton to make what's called in French a fumée de poisson. It's basically a fish broth, I guess, so I need fish bones to do it. So I bought 1 extra fish just to have the fish bones. I probably need more fish bones than just 1 skeleton, but hey, the fish seller, the fishmonger, doesn't sell straight up fish bones, and I didn't want to have to butcher a bunch of fish, so I just did 1. Hold on. Here it is. A fish carcass. And then in this big old bowl, I don't want to spill it on the floor. There it is. You got, oh shoot. No, we're good. We're good. It smells bad. I've got ice water and the fish meat in there. So what I'm gonna do is I have to do the sardines now. There's no actual explicit instructions on the book of how to do this, so I'm gonna wing it. And then I'm going to clean everything, change clothes, because I have scales everywhere, and keep going. Onwards and upwards.
Except it's not over because, as I said, I have to do these sardines. And winging it was not the best idea. I'm gonna distort this so you don't see all the details, but oh boy, it was gross. Oh no. Do you see all of the goop on the cutting board? Oh, it's not even a cutting board, it's a placemat because I hadn't bought a plastic cutting board yet at this point. Oh god, it's done. Oh. I mean, we still have to look at the skeletons, but at least the blood is gone. Whew. Anyway, these are 2 pots with differently sized cuts of the exact same vegetables. The one with the smaller bits and pieces is going to be the sauce, the Spanish sauce, in French, the sauce espagnole. I could Google right now why it's called the sauce espagnole. I am not going to. If you want to know, Google it and then let me know, because I actually don't really know why. That sauce is essentially wine, fish stuff, and later on butter. And that's all you need to know. This one here with all the scummy stuff is the fumée de poisson, which is again essentially a fish broth. Imagine your lovely comforting chicken noodle soup and then take out the wonderful chicken and put in fish instead. Yum! The good news is you do strain it, so that way you don't have to chomp down on a full fish skeleton, and you can pretend like it didn't just boil in a fish carcass beforehand. At this point, it's time to bake the little fishies, so I put in a little bit of red wine and then the fumée de poisson once it was cooled down. Once all the liquid was added and the fish were nice and cuddled up in their bath of red wine and the boiled bodies of their brothers from the sea, I covered them up in a little blanket of an almost perfectly circular piece of parchment paper. And they baked, or broiled, or poached. We're gonna go with broiled. No, because the broiler wasn't on. They were in the oven and they cooked until they were done. And in the meantime, I finished the Spanish sauce. I had to strain some stuff. I had strained out, wine and broth? Seems about right. At that point, the fish was cooked. You can tell it's cooked when the fish meat comes away from the bone easily. And I used the rest of the cooking liquid that the fish had been in to finish the Spanish sauce. It all got reduced, and once it was properly reduced, I finished it with a little bit of butter because, of course, this is a French sauce, and you finish pretty much all of them with butter. You're supposed to do it in this really specific technical way, which I have not gotten down yet, when you kind of swish them back and forth in the pan, but they're supposed to stay in the corner and gently melt into the sauce, but my butter's going everywhere, so that's clearly not the correct technique. I'm working on it. I'll get better at it. I have to, or else I'm gonna fail. And finally, I fried those little fillets of sardine in butter. The butter did burn a little bit, but I don't mind because I like my fried and crispy things to be a dark, succulent, gross, a nice, dark, crispy brown, because to me that means they're good. To plate, poured the sauce over my nice cooked fishies, and then I piled up the sardines in a corner in an attempt to make them aesthetic while I let YouTube autoplay beside me. I love Evelyn from the internet.
Hi, I've brought my armchair to the kitchen. I'm sitting very low down in front of my counter. Someone just texted me. That's not important. And here's my dish. It does not look like the way it looked in the book, so I'm gonna go ahead and try it. I believe it's not new to anyone that I don't particularly like these recipes. I don't like poached fish. I don't see the interest. Good thing is I have my drawer of cutlery in front of me. You can't see the plate because it's underneath the camera, which is currently on top of a can of chickpeas, which I'd much rather be eating, honestly, but hey, gotta see if I did the recipe correctly. Wow, it's taking me a long time to get this thing on the fork. Okay, there it is. Let me, I don't have an autofocus camera, so there's no point doing this. This is the fish. It's got a little bit of the sauce on it. Actually, I could eat that. It still definitely tastes like fish. I'm more excited about one of these little fried anchovies. Let's see. I got no complaints there. Do I think that I would have passed if I cooked this the way that I did for the jury on the test day? No. I would not have passed. I left out major ingredients. I skipped a whole technique, which is doing the fancy mushrooms that are on top of the fish. I think I showed you that. Maybe I didn't. So yeah, I don't think I would have passed. I don't think I would have gotten a 0 out of 20, but I don't think I would have gotten 10 out of 20, which is what's required. Anyway, I hope you liked it. I'm gonna clean up now. I have so much cleaning up to do. I'm gonna snack on these fried anchovies. I'm gonna find a way to eat these fish without throwing it away. It's the usual dilemma. Anyway, that's all. Thanks. Bye.